Welcome, everybody, to the Tapped Out Podcast Network. I'm Nick McDaniel, and again, it's a three-man booth once again. Got the Frat Daddy himself returning, but we got us a newcomer, Ref Clark, man. What's going on? Let's start with you, buddy. How are you?
Dude, I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Big fan of the podcast, so to be able to get on here, it's pretty exciting for me.
You even got actors credits, dude. I mean, did you see that? That always pops
I
everybody.
saw
when
that.
they
I
say
was pretty impressed. It popped me. I was pretty impressed.
Well, Bryce, man, glad to have you back, man. How have you been?
You know, I've been better after seeing me and Clark having to share a space on the opening credits. Kind of ruined the mood, but you know, it is what it is. We'll get through it. I'm used to my name being solo there, so.
Well, I
finally got to do this three-man here.
I thought about, like, could I make Bryce's real big and then, like, Clark's like just like a little font underneath? And
yeah, exactly.
Because
usually
I know
how it
Bryce,
is.
I just know that's Bryce's style, right? That's what he wants to do. So
he's got to pay his dues on the pod.
He's going to, he will, and we went very ref centric on this episode because that's kind of why I wanted him to come on. A lot of stuff about referees in general. Not just on the indie level, but also on the national level as well. We'll get to that at the end. Debut of a whole new segment. I jokingly I wanted to tell Matt Griffin he killed the blind reveal segment. So now we're going to debut a new segment called Mount Rush More. We'll get into some of the rules of why that's there. But before we jump into the Indy Rewind segment and we kind of look back at all of the stuff that happened over the past weekend, we always like to tell you, look, you can support the show in a million ways. It's listening on YouTube. It's, listening on the podcast platforms. But we try to encourage you, man. Check us out over at patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Because not only do you get the shows there regular, for $1, you get the show notes. And, like, I'm not sure if you know today's like 8 or 9 pages of notes. That's kind of the typical thing for the indie show. At the $5 level, you do get the shows early. $10 level, you get anything we ever do early. And, of course, you get the digital version of that collectible that we do exclusively here for our Patreon members at the $10 and $25 level. Because at the $25 level, we actually even include the 8.5 by 11 autographed. Those did mail out. So I got to put up the digital copy today when we're done. I mailed those out. It was a big one. And I don't mean that with no pun intended. It was 1 in a billion. Satnam Singh was the November one. Those mailed out. So, I mean, think about that. An 8.5 by 11, just for being a $25 member, that's what it's going to cost you at a merch table pretty much anywhere, that you go and see that guy, right? Am I right?
If not more.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You've actually reffed some of his matches, haven't you, Clark?
Yeah, he's a tower of a figure. I like to say when I raise his hand, I usually get launched in the air. So he's a big guy.
Big name. He was at Ring of Honor show this past weekend. Absolutely. Again, that's $25 and you'd have had his 8.5 by 11 autographed. I think it's probably one of the best values. I've already locked up December's. I've already got those. They're laying probably a good 10 feet from me here.
Let's see him.
Can't do that. Don't want to spoil the surprise. But Clark, we've done one of those for you.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, I forgot about that for a second. I
think that was one of the first times I reached out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So
go ahead and apologize to the fans that got that one.
No, okay, that wasn't the exclusive one. That was just one he got. He did it on his own for his own.
No one wants that.
Hey, I'm sure
no one wants referee merch.
I disagree. I highly disagree. So listen, that's enough chatter. Let's jump into the Indy Rewind and look back at what happened over the past weekend here in Georgia Indy Wrestling. Kind of a light weekend. I was kind of surprised that it appears like it's going to be a heavier weekend over Thanksgiving than the weekend before. One fall, they ran their show in Athens. Clark, have you done one of those shows yet in Athens yet? Cause it's probably hard for you.
Not the ones located in Athens. No, I'm still looking to have an availability for them on that. But one fall shows are always a pleasure, man. They're just fun. There's so many stars on there. You can't beat it.
Yeah, I mean, they had a cool. The main event was JD Inc., Christian Taylor, and Tyler Shoup. Talk about a collection of misfit toys, right? They wrestled against Mantasy and Luke Sampson in a 6-man. If you haven't seen Mantasy set, check them out on social media.
I'm convinced anything that Parker Lee does is going to turn into gold. Like the Mantasy thing just looks so entertaining. Him and Hyena, their thing was just phenomenal. Like, and then I mean, in singles competition, Parker Lee's one of the best out there to do it. So I'm not saying like Parker Lee is the key figure there, but I mean, there's a common denominator in each of those things that are happening.
Yeah, I mean it. I can't describe it enough. I've had a conversation when it's like, hey, it looks like a very heel version of the Fantastics or the fabulous ones from back in the day. It's really entertaining. All that being said, post match after the babyfaces picked up the big win, Luke Sampson attacked Tyler Shoup, Mantasy attacked JD and Christian Taylor. Looks like we're kind of heading out of that into something down the road. By the way, speaking of which, Satnam Singh there on the card Thursday up in Athens. He did defeat KJ Impala of Cartello Grillo, but it was by disqualification. Shock, Jason Esquire, Hayden Seal, and a fear. But he did pick up a big win. Jimmy Wild and Jack Jameson, they defeated Michael Solar and Trevor Blackwell. Bunch of other matches going on, there. I know you're a little bit familiar with these. I know you're familiar with some of these other guys too, Bryce. Cartello Grillo, obviously Rosario Grillo heading the table, Jason Esquire, kind of the consigliere there, and with KJ Impala now and Hayden Seal in this group. They're becoming a kind of a force to be reckoned with there in one fall, and so you got to keep your head on a swivel when you're there, Clark.
Yeah, I know. They're all very talented too. Hayden Seal was somebody I saw just I think 2 months ago, and he just blew me away. He's so young, but in the ring he's crisp. He's crisp. So I was a big fan of him. And Grillo, I mean, Grillo, you can't get enough of it as well.
Well, you got to keep your head on a swivel because apparently they're really good at bending rules. Grillo, when he's on here, says he doesn't break rules. They like to bend rules.
Yeah, outside I'm a big fan of Grillo. Inside he gives me a hard time.
Exactly. Check them out. They got a big show coming up this weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit over on the Tapped Out episode that airs tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribing and checking all that. And, of course, you can catch them every single week on Peachtree Sports TV and on Triller TV as well on Wednesday nights. Also, Friday night, SCA, they ran up at the Royston Dome. Up at the Royston Dome there, SCA, like clockwork, they run every single Friday night. Big news coming out of there is the best of 5 series has started. They had their first match in this. It is Alexander Lev and Luke Da Silva, and what they're doing is the best of 5 series. The winner of the series will be the SCA heavyweight champion. Alexander Lev, he did pick up the first win, so he's got the advantage here. Can Da Silva hold on? Time will only tell. Also, by the way, Greatness Inc., they are your tag team champions. They successfully had a 6-man match. They defeated Sander Seabolt, Tower, and Savage. So, obviously, we're heading into the big show Black Friday. It's called the Square Off at Black Friday. Lots of stuff coming up there. Nick Halen, Stevie Ray Frost. Face it, you got Rick Page versus – you ready for this? Rick Page versus Savage in a karaoke battle on Black Friday.
Oof.
Yeah, that should be entertaining to say the least. We always talk about it, though. Every single week, they seem to be there. They take a couple holidays here and there, but for the most part, they're there every single Friday, so check them out. Then we move to Saturday, Lariato Pro. Bryce is obviously in the house. Lots of stuff going on there. The big story, one, Bryce Cannon versus Enzo, the real one, whatever his going by these days. Huge opportunity there. But I would tell you the huge news coming out, Dax Anthony is the new Lionheart champion. We're going to throw up a big question mark of how do we get there? How does that happen, right?
Yeah, he's weaseling his way into opportunities all around the state. I mean, he got the Bryce Cannon rub down in Savannah. Now he thinks he's a hot shot. Let's be for real. Let's call it what it is.
Well, listen, he did defeat Dominic Stuckey, somebody who's a thorn in your side, as you point out every single time we're here. And Skrilla the Great, he became the new #1 contender for the Lionheart Championship, and then weaseled his way in, you could say it, if it's into the main event there, where it was going to be Crazy Steve and Frat Daddy. It's just a Laser somehow gets finagled. He just kind of had enough, puts him in there, but only says to the effect of, if you lose this match, you're out of Lariato forever. But Dax Anthony, now listen, I know, all personal feelings aside, you gotta just give him his credit and say he had one opportunity and he cashed in on that. And he is the new Lionheart champion there in Lariato, so give credit where credit is due. Correct, Ref? Maybe.
Shortcuts. Shortcuts are shortcuts.
At the end of the day, I guess in the book, it's going to show Dax Anthony beat Crazy Steve and Frat Daddy to become Lionheart champion. It's not going to say how he did it. It's just going to say that he's a champion. So, congratulations, and I hope it's short lived.
And listen, there being it's one of your stomping grounds there in Lariato, might be the guy to take him. I know you got bigger
I am a
fish.
former Lionheart champion, so I'd love to make it a 2-time Lionheart champion.
See, there you go. Next show not available. Did you have a date? I do not. That was not out there. I didn't have a date yet, so I always say follow them on social media unless you've got a date yet. But if not, follow them on social media, and it'll find out soon enough when they're going to be there. So, also on Saturday, the Apex down in Augusta, they had their huge show. Big event for them, in my opinion. They crowned their first two champions, their first women's champion and their first men's, the heavyweight champion. And we're going to get into this a little bit more in one of the later segments, but Elijah Drago is your new Apex heavyweight champion. Kelsey Reagan is your Apex women's champion. Pretty solid two faces to put out there for your brand if you're crowning your first champions. Let's just say you could have done a whole lot worse, in my opinion. I mean, these are two outstanding talents to be out there. Would you agree, Bryce?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Drago, I mean, a mammoth of a man. The dude looks like he's chiseled from stone. He looks like a champion. He acts like a champion. So why not make him the champion, or at least give him the opportunity to become your champion, I should say. And then Kelsey Reagan, I mean, she's just as big of a national talent. She's everywhere. If you follow her on Twitter, she's always somewhere winning belts and everything like that. So I think it's not only two people that look like champions that are going to hold your company well, but it's people that are actually going to put some prestige and get some eyes on your promotion as well.
Yeah, Clark, I mean, you're familiar with both talents, and I think you'd have to agree there as well.
100%. Being there, when you go into a locker room, you usually can tell, oh, that person's got star ability, that they've got that talent. Both of them immediately, you immediately say they're built for it. They've got the talent. They've got the tools. And I really couldn't think of two people that if you want to put titles for your company with that person, those are two people in 3-4 years, you're going to be like, oh, remember when they were champion? We had them as champion. Yeah. And I think that's a nice thing to hang your hat on.
When a company like Apex is still kind of building their brand and building who they are, they're, like I said, if you put Elijah Drago on a poster with your title on his shoulder, around his waist, however, it's a pretty impressive thing. And it's like, you got a star. You got a star in the making. Look, I've had a ton of conversations about Drago. Again, you don't always have to like how he gets there, but he is absolutely a monster of a man he's a fitting champion, so kudos to them. Also, Mike Cunningham, he successfully defended the Nightmare Factory Championship. That's kind of an interesting situation to see that actually happening and taking place outside of the Nightmare Factory itself. But it's another young man who look, Mike Cunningham I think has a massive upside to his career. He's super young. I don't think a lot of people realize how young he is. So for him to be where he's at already and just be as young as he is, it's a huge opportunity. That's a match. I'd actually like to see a Bryce Cannon, Mike Cunningham match.
Yeah, I would too. So WWE ID prospects could get some eyes on a real star.
Bryce Cannon wants a shot at the Nightmare Factory Championship, folks. I think that's
absolutely.
Sauronaro and Matt Sells, they had a one-on-one. Sauronaro picks up the win. Listen, I'm a Georgia guy in a weird way, right? That I say I can't imagine how fun that match would be to ref, Clark. I mean, that just
100%.
Yeah.
Last time I was at Apex, I refed a Matt Sells match for the first time, and I was blown away. I think I had the most fun I've ever had in a ring.
And Bryce, you faced both of these guys, I'm assuming, at some point, somewhere, somehow, right?
Yeah, they're on way opposite ends of the wrestling spectrum when it comes to professional wrestling. You've got the sports entertainer in Matt Sells, and then you've got the sports entertainment and technical and everything that you would like in a professional wrestler in Sal. So yeah, I can only imagine hopefully there's footage of this to come out, because I think that is one that people would just grab a beer for Matt Sell's sake and watch the match.
I agree. All-Star Special. There's a version of this now of All-Star. Because there's multiples. There's 3 of them that are kind of hitting the roads now. Jay Too Strong, Will Huckabee picked up a win over Charlie Kills and Josh Magnum. A little bit of a Magnum walks out, leaves Charlie Kills. All-Star Special kind of gave him the old what for 2-on-1 there, and luckily of all people, man. Mike Cunningham, we talked about him earlier, came out and made the save. So maybe, there's a saving grace there. We'll have to see, and I'm sure that'll play out. But again, obviously, look, I can't reiterate it enough. The big news out of there, they now have Drago as their heavyweight champion, Kelsey Reagan, she is their women's champion. So now all the questions now go, Drago likes to tell everybody, right? He likes to ask that question in the ring of who's the man.
Mm-hmm.
Who's coming next for Drago? That's the crazy thing, right? You got a guy that's like, when you put a guy like that on there, it's like, now who's next to come in and face him to try to dethrone that guy? So we shall see. That was all of the results from the past weekend. I told you guys it was a really light weekend. So after we finished it looking back, we always kind of lead into the next question of, we ask ourselves, who won the week? And I think we probably gave it away because, a lot of big things. I think it kind of comes down to a couple people. 3, but a couple people in a couple situations. It's all new championships. Elijah Drago, Kelsey Reagan, they are now the faces of Apex. One might argue, by the way, let me ask you this. I may have this typed wrong in the notes for those who, I'm sitting here going like, it might not be Drago and it might not be Kelsey Reagan. It might actually be Apex. That might be your winner, is those 2 being the now moving forward the face of your company. Agree or disagree with me, ref? I mean, what do you think, Clark?
I think Apex, the biggest thing coming out of it is that you had a show that was culminating this tournament that has came up, and the only thing you have after that tournament is new ways to go. You have Mike Cunningham there. You have All-Star Special, who's now going in a new route. You have 2 new champions of the face of the company. So it's not a culmination where you're going, okay, well, there's nothing to watch now. Now you have so many more things to go back to.
Yeah. I mean, Bryce?
Yeah, no, I mean, like Clark said, you got multiple avenues to go. You got the Josh Magnum leaving Charlie Kills for dead in the ring for All-Star Special to pick the bones. So there's a lot going for them. And, I mean, submitting 2 powerful champions is going to put you at the top of the game when it comes to Georgia promotions.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I felt like, and we'll dive into it a little bit because I want to give some love to one of your favorite people, Bryce. Dax Anthony. By hook or by crook, he is your Lariato Lion Heart champion. I mean, is he the guy? Like, does he get a nod for who won the week by literally backdooring from literally a number 1 contenders match, winning that, and going all the way to having a championship by the time he walked out of that show?
Look, if you're ever asking yourself if Dax Anthony is the man, then you're already second guessing yourself way too much. So I'm gonna leave my answer at that.
So are we in agreement then? I like I said, originally I thought Drago Kelsey, but then I'm like, I think it actually might be bigger than that. It might actually be Apex is who won the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
And, and a lot of that is because I think, in my personal opinion, look, when they started, when Next Level was the original brand, it came, they went through, there were some bumps, man. There were some bumps. There were some potholes, call it what you want to. But everybody left them for dead at one point. Everybody kind of was like, hey, this is not going to make it. And I wanted to take a second to acknowledge the fact that, like, listen, I honestly, I put it out there. Like, there were conversations that I had with Josh, and I could not say enough how I admired the fact that he, like, if I'm going down, I'm going down my way. He just turned the ship and said, look, this is the direction I'm going in. And in my opinion, and I would love to know from, 2 performer standpoints, right? I think it's been full steam ahead and in a positive way ever since those changes have been made.
Clark, go ahead.
I've been there multiple times, and I really can't say anything more positive about how Josh treated me, how the locker room was, how everything was set up. You get there, the ring's already up. Usually, if it's not Kellerman, it's somebody else bringing in the ring, and it's just smooth sailing. The show is given out to you. You have the entire layout. It's an easy show meeting, and the locker room's got no drama in the back. I could not say better things about it, and Josh seems to have found his footing, and they are full steam ahead. Especially what I heard, they had a good draw this weekend, which is, that's all you can hope for, right?
Yep. And then on top of that, I can't speak as far as like working Next Level or Apex because I haven't worked them yet. But I did work with Josh under the IWE banner, and I mean he was always super professional. There, to answer any question if you needed to ask one, he just knew how to present himself to be approachable, which I feel like is something that all promoters, bookers need to do, is present themselves as approachable, because without that, your guys that you're relying on to create a good show for you, they're not going to have that trust in you. They're not going to have that camaraderie for you at the end of the day. But no, Josh, I hope nothing but the best for this promotion, and I hope that like Clark keeps saying, full steam ahead. I hope the wagon keeps moving for him.
Yeah, I mean, because listen, the more good promotions there are, the better it is for everybody. It's more places for us to talk about. There's more places for you guys to work. I mean, and especially if they're doing well, that means the paydays are probably better. So, and then you're getting some really good names in there, some opportunities to work guys you don't normally get to work. All of those things, in my opinion, are a plus. So I just think, like I said, at one point, everybody was ready to just stick the fork in them. They were done. And for them to come back now and lead, to be where they are now, super proud of those guys. And we talked about a little bit when we were talking about who won the week and all those kind of things. Great choices is one of the things we talked about. And I think, Elijah Drago and Kelsey Reagan are a huge, great choice to start to kind of continue that momentum and who's next to face them. When you look at some of the names that they've already brought in, along the way to bring them back, I thought it was a cool thing. One another topic I wanted to talk to you guys about. It kind of came out on social media. I was like, hey, do I talk about it? Sure. He doesn't mind. Will Huckabee made a post, and I was kind of like, hey, I want to have this conversation with you. But it's cool that we've got Clark on here and we've got you on here, because then we've got it kind of wrestler, like different perspectives on it or whatever. It's a little bit about kind of just common sense and etiquette in the locker room. We've heard these conversations 100 times. Bryce, you and I have talked a little bit about this off the air a little bit in the past, so it's not like this is a new conversation going around. But it often surprises me that guys don't know how to behave. Like, I'll start with you, Bryce. I mean, am I right?
Yeah, I mean, when you're broken into the business, I believe that it should be like your trainer's, sole mission to make sure that you have not only etiquette in the ring for the ring, but also backstage. I mean, there's a certain way that you work your everyday job. You're not going to go there and just act like you run the place, because at the end of the day, you don't. Same with the wrestling locker room. There's guys that, well, everybody deserves your respect, no doubt. But there's some guys, you hear it like on podcasts and things like that. They talk about how the Undertaker was, perceived as, the head honcho of the locker room and things like that. I don't feel like that's necessary in Georgia locker rooms, but there's guys that, have earned some respect that get a little, more lenient with things. But the etiquette comes with everybody. It doesn't matter if you're the main eventer, the mid carder, or the opener. There, at the end of the night, you should be picking up your area. You should be picking up your wrist tape. You should be picking up your empty water bottles. You shouldn't just be leaving trash wherever, because somebody's going to come up behind you and pick it up later on. Like it's just not cool. Like, you wouldn't do that at your mom's house or whatever. So but in this situation, there was mention of like moving guys' things out of a chair. If somebody's got their stuff in that chair, at the end of the day, that's kind of their spot. They've claimed that spot. More than likely, they're coming back to that chair. I saw, I believe Simon Sermon commented on their picking, and he's like, well, a bag shouldn't deserve a place to sit. Now, if the bag is in the seat beside you, absolutely move that crap. But if the person's not there for you to ask, and that's the other thing, ask. What's the worst that can happen? They say no. I mean, and then you just take a hit to your ego and you choose how to, handle that. So, yeah, I think it's just one of those things that like etiquette should be taught from, the ground level up. And then some guys just have to learn the hard way, honestly.
Clark, your experiences has been, you're fresh into the business, not too, I mean, as far as, hitting a lot of these shows. So you kind of are on the other side of that.
Yeah, I was about to say, just over a full year. My biggest goal, being taught by my dad, Kevin Cantrell, you know, going into these locker rooms since I was 14 years old, is shake hands, introduce yourself, and be quiet and listen, because that's all you can do. That's what I've been. I show up to shows, shake hands. I'm Clark DiBenedetto. I'm a referee. If you need anything at all, I'm here to help. And then you sit and listen, because it's like Bryce said, there's guys in that locker room whom everyone deserves respect, but there's people you need to sit down and listen to and understand what they're doing, why they're in that locker room, why they've been able to stay in that locker room, and how you can stay in that locker room. And then another thing with the trash thing is, not only do you want to be there for more shows, you want the show to be there in that venue continuously and continuously. So it's got to be a best look on wherever venue you're running is. They need to be, wrestling is stress-free for us. This is an easy night. We're getting people in our building. It's easy.
Listen, from a absolute non-wrestler perspective, outside of it, obviously I do go into some of the locker rooms and stuff. I was always like, hey, try to say hello to everybody. Doesn't matter if they set up the ring, if they, it's like, hey, I'm just trying to, hey. But I also tell people like, hey, before I walk out of a building, I'm like, oh, wait, you don't go into a man's house and not say thank you for the hospitality. So I go find, whether it's the owner of the company or whoever runs the show, whatever, make sure a point to say, hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. That kind of stuff. But it's, what's the old saying? Like it's, somebody made the comment of be careful who you step on the way up, because you're probably going to pass them on the way back down. Like, just kind of be cognizant of those type of things as well. And I have found, by the way, just in wrestling in general, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Bryce, because I know that you probably got a little more experience of this. I am always amazed that when you see people that just aren't aware of who is in a locker room from sometimes, that like, I'm like, you should go talk to that person. They're like, why? And I'm like, because he books one of the biggest shows, like, or something like that. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that's who it was. And I'm like, be aware of what you don't know as much as what you know.
Yeah, I mean, one of the craziest things was like the Georgia Wrestling History Awards, where you literally had the who's who of bookers and promoters in the house and things like that, and guys were more worried about, hanging out with the guys they see every weekend versus the guys that, okay, that's where I'm trying to go. Like, let me go at least say, hey, like you don't have to talk to these guys for 10, 12 minutes. Like, but if it's somebody who's been somewhere that you want to be, or these days, even if they're where you want to be and still on the same card as you, because I mean, there's AEW guys, ROH guys that are on Georgia cards. Like they're on the same shows as you. Why are you not sitting under their learning tree? For instance, I mean, AJ Styles was just in the Southern Honor locker room. It amazed me how many guys like could see that AJ was like giving a group of people like feedback and not even batting an eye or raising an ear to what he was telling the people. Just because it doesn't pertain to you does not mean that it won't help you in the long run. I mean, I wasn't even in a tag match, but I was sitting there listening to AJ go over, hey, what could have been done here? What could have been done there in a tag match? And it's like, okay, like, and everything he made absolute sense. And I mean, Clark was a part of like that conversation whenever he was talking about that tag match. But it's just like when guys think they're too good to get advice or something like that, like that's where you've lost me and you've lost my respect. Honestly, it's like everybody's still learning. Everybody's on the same card as you at the end of the day, but some guys have that prestige to them, and you should listen when you like know when to listen, essentially.
Which is always, that's what I try to tell the guys. Yeah. It's always, if you're not talking, like I can't tell you the conversations that I've just been privy to, just standing there and just listening and going, I am a smarter wrestling fan just from listening to that 10-minute conversation, and, to hear from some of the guys that are in Georgia that are just in a locker room, just shut up and listen. Sometimes it's not that difficult. And at the same time, by the way, there is nothing wrong. I think this might be like the knowing who you don't know. I walk up to guys all the time, if obviously, like, not if they're getting dressed, you know what I'm saying? But like, if, hey,
Right.
we're just in the locker room, I'll walk by somebody and I'll just say, I'm tell wrestlers all the time, this is all sometimes it is. Hey, I don't mean to interrupt you or anything. Just wanted to introduce myself, tell them who I am, shake their hand, and it's kind of like, that's it. Like, I'm not trying to have a 45-minute conversation. I'm not trying to talk to you forever. Just wanted to say, hey, nice to meet you, and walk out. Because most of the time they'll go, like, literally, I'll tell you a funny story. Wrestler in a locker room on, I'm not going to tell you the night because the math wouldn't be hard to figure out. I literally said, hi, how you doing? He goes, I'm going to shake your hand. I don't know who the hell you are, but I'm going to shake your hand. I said, I'm nobody. I'm really not. It's, I just do a podcast thing, whatever. And then we talked for 10 minutes. But it was like, hey, I'm nobody. I'm not I'm just, hey, I just it's a pleasure to meet you, by the way. Introduce myself. And then it was kind of like, so you can kind of see, you could try to tear by that conversation. There was a pecking order there, but it was just like, hey, kind of thing. And it's not that hard sometimes. It's just, hey, I just want to introduce myself. So the next time you're in the locker room with them, they go, oh, hey, man, how you going? How you been? It's good. If they want to talk to you, they'll talk to you. But again, I think the important part that a lot of people need to hear is about the not knowing, or knowing what you don't know and who's a locker room. By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, Clark, you've probably been in this more than Bryce, because Bryce been around for a while. I'm not afraid to sit there and go like, who's that?
Yeah, no, 100%. And the best way to figure it out is just what you said, is walking up, hey, my name is Clark, it's nice to meet you. And they can it's right there. I mean, it's a simple exchange. It's what should be standard and custom for every interaction you have in a locker room. And I really like what you said with the next time, because if I introduce myself to somebody higher up in that locker room and I introduce myself, they remember my name, we maybe have a quick conversation, I can go somewhere higher on another show, I can be another place, and they're going to go, oh, I know that kid, I know that referee. And that's instantly going to be like, oh, you know that kid? Okay. It makes you think a little bit higher of that person. So it's just networking. It's just networking.
Thank you. That's because of the last place I want. One of the things that was posted in there, Huck put it in there, was you may have cost yourselves a booking opportunity on this evening. And I always tell people the entire business of, listen, my job, my real job, my day job, whatever you want to call it. If you ask me why I talk to everybody, because I'd be broke if I didn't. Like, literally, my job is all about networking and meeting people and talking to people and this, that, and the other. And I try to tell wrestlers, wrestling's not that different. You should always be building relationships. You should always, in a positive way, hopefully, you should always be building relationships. You should always be working on, it's not about being, I'm better than you, or I'm this way, because you don't know who these people know. There are times that, like, I've sat with people and they've told stories and I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm friends with X. And it's like, wow, like I would have never put that together, but cool, But both of you guys have experienced it in one way or another where you may have had a conversation with somebody and then they just out of the blue are like, oh, I like this kid. A spot opens up. You never see it coming. Next thing you know, you're getting a message about a job. Mine, it's business.
Not to put over Bryce, but the first time we met, introduced myself, and I think we had a good long conversation. And then spot opened up at a show. He asked if I was available. And from there, I've honestly been able to get a lot of opportunities due to Bryce. And that was it was a quick connection. I mean, we just introduced ourselves and had a conversation. And since then, that's grown. And I've gotten opportunities from that. And it was literally just a simple, hey, I'm Clark. I'm here to help if you need anything.
He put you over, Bryce.
As he should.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
No, and that's all it was. I mean, he bought one of my T-shirts, and I know
that train of events seems a little off. That train of events seems a little off.
Yeah.
Oh, Bryce, I love you.
Maybe I was repaying something there.
Yeah, I think that time the interaction was like, Bryce, I love you. I'm such a big fan. And he was like, I like this kid.
It was more, oh, hey, are you on the show tonight? And he was like, yeah, I'm Bryce Cannon.
And you're
No,
like,
but
I know. No, I'm just kidding.
But like this isn't to be like a putover session or anything, but no, like you said, like he's gotten opportunities from that, but it's not because I like said like, hey, like I know Clark. It was Clark hopped in the car and rode 4 hours with me to the show, and something came up, and it wasn't just because he was there. It was because okay, Clark put himself with guys who are respected, and Clark put him in a position to where he was professional in situations to where like I'm not saying I'm high and mighty or anything, but I would put my name on him and be like, hey, like, yeah, this kid's good or something like that. Like that's the other thing is guys, just expect opportunities to fall in their lap and everything. They're not willing to work for them, or they're not willing to, like, the first time Clark got used on Southern Honor, he rode with me and he wasn't expecting to get used that night. I mean, he had his gear or like his bag and everything, but he wasn't expecting to get used at all. He was just going to network, and they ended up using him in like 2 different things that night. So, and then he's been there ever since. So it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're respectful, professional, and listen, the opportunities will be there for you when they get there.
Because it's one of the things that like, wise man once told me, I've heard this a million times, and I say it to people all the time. Wrestling is the epitome of this catchphrase now, in my opinion. It's not about who you know, it's who's willing to say they know you, and then sometimes in the long run. But that's why you always have to be networking. You always have to be polite. You always have to be putting your best foot forward. And I think if people see that, there's like, hey, I don't know if, and I say this to people, hey, I don't know if they're going to work for you or not, but I think they have a huge potential. I think they've got just give them an opportunity. Worst thing that's happened, if it doesn't fit what you're looking for, you don't bring them back. I understand that that's a possibility, but at least give them a shot. Like they work hard and they deserve an opportunity. That's what you should be doing in the back. No, by the way, here's the crazy one. I don't care how long you've been in the business, because there are guys who get their opportunities way late in the game, and there's some that don't. And I look, and it's sometimes we've talked about timing in the past. Matt Griffin and I last week had a whole conversation about timing is everything in wrestling sometimes. So, look, I get it. You should have made it 6 years ago. Should you? But if you make it, your time to make it was now. But you just always have to put your best foot forward and head to that. That's just my Now,
yeah, and it's like you never know who's watching either. Like that's the other thing is it's like you if you're an a-hole in the back, like that word's going to get around, or if you have just a sour attitude, word's going to get around. And also like how much you help. Like one guy that like works his butt off and he's starting to get like the representation that he deserves is Christian Taylor. I mean, that dude is at every show, setting up every ring, cleaning up after the show, staying late, staying early. I mean, he was at Lariato this past weekend, but it's like he doesn't let his position on the card like dictate on how he's gonna set up. And something that popped in my head was like there's a picture, I want to say Bob Keller puts it out, of Jimmy Hart like putting out chairs at a show.
mm-hmm.
It's like it doesn't matter your status or your role on the card or anything like that. Like everybody has a job, and even if it's not your job, like help out,
100%. And I don't want to, double put over as much as possible. But as soon as he said somebody who's been helping out, hardworking, before he said it, I knew it was Christian Taylor, because he just has every single show. It feels like I'm at in Georgia. He's the one who helped set up the ring. He's learning how to put up the entranceway for that show. He's learning where the chairs go for that show, just in case that show needs him.
Yeah. He was putting up a cage at Southern Honor. I mean, there's always something, right? It's like, oh, you do realize you were in a pretty high-profile match. Doesn't matter. Like, it's still going to help put the cage up. And I was like, yeah, we talked about him a little bit last week, and it's cool to see even people, listen, for what it's worth, guys, even guys like Matt Griffin are noticing. They're seeing it, right? Like if somebody like Matt's seeing it, that's a huge compliment to the work that he's putting in. Let's push on, man. Again, there's one other thing before we got into our weekly segments I wanted to ask you guys. Importance of a good ref. Look, I've experienced the matches where hadn't been the case, and I know this will probably, we're going to put Clark over a little bit. It's his he's got way too much for his first show, way too much for being on the show for the first time. But it's there's little things, and I'll let you guys speak to it more. Bryce, from a performer standpoint, obviously Clark, you being the ref, with the experience. I mean, having a bad ref can just absolutely destroy a match. And I'm going to give some examples here in a minute because I've seen some in the last couple weeks where it was just a disaster.
Oh no.
Yeah, go ahead, Bryce. From a performer standpoint, let her rip. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the bad ref. I mean, it can make or break a match. Like, guys or fans honestly don't realize how much like the ref can make or break a match. And so what I mean by that is like if the ref is used as a tool in a match, like to communicate with, for them to communicate with us, hey, like time cues or things like that, or even if an opponent's hurt, or if they want to cut something out. So like my first experience with like a bad ref was when my knee popped the first time, like 4 or 5 years ago. It popped. I knew something was wrong. I went down, and I was telling the ref, hey, let my opponent know, like, I'm hurt. Like, tell him to come pin me. Like, I can't stand. And the ref would not. Like, he would, I don't know if he just thought that was my form of selling or what. But eventually my opponent finally came over to me and tried picking me up. I'm like, no, dude, pin me. I can't get up. So I had a good ref, that could have been completely resolved and washed away. But like a good ref makes the job way easier, and it can make a match go from bad to fixable or good to great, especially if you've got a ref that will listen to your match getting called and things like that. And like with Clark, there's some matches I'll be like, hey, like, just remind me to do this with that. Like if a guy has a specific way he wants to do something, like I'll know how to take it, but there's a certain way he wants to set it up or something like that. You can communicate that to that ref, and then in the match, it's like you don't have to worry about like missing that or hurting your opponent because you did something wrong, because that guy's going to relay like, hey, here it comes. Be sure to put your right hand on his hip or something like that. But yeah, good refs can make or break a match.
And Clark, specifically for like stuff for like TV, and everybody's going to go question mark. I promise you, it's been there, right? For TV, when they're taping TVs, and you've done some of those, it is about time cues. It is about like there's little things along the way, and people sometimes are not aware of how much stuff is in your ear. Like at the same time, you're trying to work with those 2 guys or 4 guys or 6 guys, depending on how many are in the match. You've got the people in the back in your ear. It's like, you're out there like it's just a overstimulated, traffic cop while everything is just going on at one time, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. In football, they call the middle linebacker. He's got a green dot on his helmet. He's coordinating to the defense, and that's a lot of the time. That's how I feel in the ring. Is I'm getting these play calls. I'm getting where these guys need to go. There's certain guys that need certain things to be told to them, and other guys do not need to know it. So there's a lot that goes into that, and it takes perspective and growing on every one. I used to, when I first started, being like, ugh, I have to wear a headset. I really don't want, it's uncomfortable. I don't want to wear this. And now, usually if I go to a show and I don't have a headset, I'm like, anything could happen now. I want that headset so bad, because I'm like, it gives me just a little bit more of direction and where we're supposed to go in this match. I point back a lot. When I was a kid, I used to wrestle with action figures, and I never used a referee. And now I look back on it now, and I'm like, how bad were these matches that I was doing? Because there was no referee. I was missing out on so much. But yeah, and then with what Bryce was saying, you can take a great match to a match that is quickly embarrassing if you have a referee who does not know what they're doing. They're in the way. I saw it not too long ago, counting the 1-2 pause, and then a 1-2 pause, and then saying no, and it's like, let's go, guys. It's 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's stuff as simple as that, but you just got to know the job. You got to learn the job, and it just takes what we were talking about earlier with listening in the back, listening to the talent, and just improving every show. Because that's all it is. It's just like anything. It's every show is a learning opportunity. I look back 3 months ago and I hate my work. I'll be like, what in the world was I doing? I'm like, how was I even allowed to be on this show? So it's just every show I can go back and improve on something I want to do.
And I think from a rep perspective, it's kind of one of the things I wanted to piggyback it behind the locker room conversation is because with refs, I think listening to those conversations can dramatically help that match. Because if you kind of know where we're supposed to go and something does, goes a little sideways, you can kind of help be the third man in there to kind of, you're supposed to, we're trying not to yank the curtain back too much, but you know what I mean, right? Like, it's
Right.
like, hey,
No,
I can help you. And then they're like, oh, yeah. And it just, enough to just trigger the conversation and just like, oh, yeah, awesome. So I really think, again, there's a lot of good ones around Georgia. Look, everybody knows, I think Grandpa Booker's one of the best. He's been around for a long time. And it's something we've had conversations about. Learn how to count. Like attack the mat, like, let us hear it.
Yep.
Other way of stuff
Yep.
like that. Just little things or whatever. And that's kind of going to lead us into one of our segments. It's a little bit of the underappreciated referees, underrated, appreciate, whatever. And Clark, we're going to defer to you. And Bryce does a lot of this, guys that a lot of the guys around here. But before we do that, we always tell you, look, this segment this week is brought to you by our friends over at Video Bolt. This episode of the Tapped Out Podcast is brought to you by our new partners at Video Bolt. They're a video technology company that's been around redefining content creation since 2009. Whether you're a podcaster, promoter, small business, media outlet, Video Bolt makes it easy to create professional, high-quality videos fast without a crazy price tag to go with it. They've powered projects like, from big names like Duncan, Hearst, Comcast, but their platform is built for creators just like us, so you can look just as sharp as those guys. So if you want your videos to stand out, head over to videobolt.net/tappedoutpod and use our promo code tappedoutpod to get starting today. That's videobolt.net/tappedoutpod because your video should hit just as hard as your message. Again, everybody, Video Bolt's super easy to use. I use it myself. All of the intros you see, all of the segues, all the background here, all this kind of stuff. Everybody thinks I'm like, look, I promise you, I am not a video editor. I am not a video guy. I got a friend of mine, Dylan. He does all that, but that ain't me. And I tell everybody, if I can do this with Video Bolt, you can as well. Again, promo code is tappedoutpod. Check it out. Make your podcast better. Make your entrances better. Whatever. videobolt.net/tappedoutpod. That, of course, brings you, we kind of teased it as we headed into it. We're going to get into the underrated, underappreciated segment. This one a little different. Referees. So, Clark, we're going to defer to you and let you start. And, Bryce, feel free to jump in and just throw your opinions in there as well. But
Clark's getting all the heat this week.
Yeah.
Let's stay out of this one.
No, this is good. I always tell people this is for people that, like, hey, they deserve a little love, but across the state they don't really get a lot of it, so they deserve a little more. I think there's a lot of talents out there. We like to focus on wrestlers and all that kind of stuff, and having Clark on here kind of was like, hey, let's give some of these referees a little bit of love as well. So, Clark, who you got?
I'm immediately going to turn away from what you just said and go kind of the opposite. But someone who's been amazing in Georgia and continues to be amazing in Georgia, but for some reason is not getting the title of best referee in Georgia, which I feel they should, is Paul Espinal. He is phenomenal. No matter what show he's on, he is there early. He is usually helping with lights, which is about the biggest pain I've ever seen in my life. Just trying to even shadow him on that is about the most confusing thing in the world. And then in the ring, Paul is just phenomenal. He has taught me so much. So just being able to be around him has been a pleasure in my career. That's also with Mike Full, but I'm not going to toad on him too much. He's everywhere. I think he was in New Jersey this weekend, so he's not going to get my underappreciated award. But both of them are just absolutely phenomenal. Have been such a help to me. But if you wanted to go into the underappreciated, someone who just recently got into it and is on the younger side, Jesse B. He has reffed up at One Fall now. He's reffed at Kraken. He's reffed at Passion. He's reffed at a couple places up in Atlanta. He's really just getting out there. He's making rides to shows. He's showing up. He's asking questions. He's always a pleasure in the locker room. I can't say enough good things about him as well. And then someone who's actually a little bit priorly in Florida, but he's looking to make it up into Georgia, is David Sanderson. David Sanderson is a phenomenal talent who's just been looking to get his way into Georgia, and he just really hasn't had the opportunity yet. So if someone's in need of a referee, I could not endorse David Sanderson enough. He is phenomenal.
All right, man, you got to give me two more. We got to go 5. Who you got?
I got you. I got Ray Santiago is another one. He's always at one fall. Ray is amazing. Ray is right up there with the Pauls of the world. I wish Ray would ref more, honestly. I don't see him at many shows that I'm on, and I'm like, it would be nice to have a Ray here. You know, it's never a bad thing when he's in the building. And then someone I've been working a lot with at Coastal is Brian Brock. I just was introduced to him a couple months ago, and Brian's phenomenal. He's just another guy in the back you're not going to have issues with. He is going to be the nicest guy in the locker room. He's going to get the job done, and he's going to be able to communicate with you in the ring. And you're checking the boxes of what I need out of a referee. So can't have enough high praises for both of them as well.
And, look, when we talk about the referees, I always say, man, like, of all the positions on a card, you should put your gear in your car, and even as a fan, go to check out some bigger shows that you like. Hey, I want to ref this someday. I mean, I've been there when even guys like certain referees just kind of show up as a fan, and then the next thing you know, they're up in the ring. Hey, you don't know when referees don't show. And by the way, wrestlers, I've said this 100 times. Get you a ref shirt, get you the pants, learn how to ref, because sometimes it might be a weird way to get onto a show at some point. Like if you're
That's how I started at Lariato. I started out as a referee for Lariato. So it's one of those things, like you're never too good for a position.
Too bad Bryce just couldn't cut it.
Yeah, I had to go to wrestling instead.
Yeah. But that's kind of my point, right? Like, I mean, you got guys, if they're just willing to, like, hey, it's a way to get in there. But I think how much better of either one of those, if you're a wrestler / whatever, how much better are you as the other if you can get trained and be good? Because then you kind of know what to expect. Not saying that's not going to bite you at some point, but yes.
Well, look at somebody like Rico. I mean, he started out as a referee at the A4, and he was a damn good referee. I'm pretty sure like he refereed some early Classic City shows too. I mean, Rico was a phenomenal ref, and now he's like traveling the U.S. as one of the best workers out there. Like it's not saying that you're stuck in that position forever like Clark is, but it's saying that like there's potential for the guys who are actually athletic out there.
I mean, I agree.
There's a reason, and plus, by the way, how many wrestlers are trying to make it? How many refs are trying? I think that sometimes it's a numbers game. And look, one of the greatest stories, that we talk about, somebody who, Aja Pereira, tried, and now where is she at? Oh, she's just traveling the world on the WWE's dime, doing a great job. She's refereeing matches all over the world. Kudos for her, by the way. So I think absolutely without question, I think she is a very much a lesson to be learned of your path may not end up being what you thought it was, but that's a hell of a path still nonetheless to what she's pulled off. Right. I mean, so her life is a success story when it comes to achieving a dream. Just didn't look like it. Well, it didn't come out exactly like maybe she thought, but I think at the end of the day, she's probably pretty happy with that. So
100%. I think it comes down to, I always say wrestling comes first, and I love professional wrestling. So just being able to be a part of it, no matter what shape or size that is, I'm always appreciative.
So now we talked a little bit about somebody that makes it to the big time. So now let's talk about the big time referees. We're going to jump into this a little bit as we told you the blind reveal's kind of been put on the back on the back burner. So now we're going to jump in and we're going to do what we now call our segment is Mount Rushmore. And the reason why we call it Mount Rushmore is for a couple of reasons. Obviously, if you can get your 4, pretty easy. You're supposed to put your 4 on Mount Rushmore. Sometimes we struggle especially when we get into our favorite wrestlers, etc. We might give you one more. But on the referees, Clark, I'm going to start with you. Do you have 4 referees? And by the way, this isn't Georgia, folks. This is national. This is all time. It is your picks. Who you got, Clark? Who's your 4?
So yeah, I'm gonna give you the 4, but I am gonna use that crutch of a more. But that's just so I can include someone who is currently doing work who I think is phenomenal. I'm gonna start off with Charles Robinson, Lil Nate. I mean, there's a reason he's still in the ring. There's a reason he's done it for so long. There's a reason he's so long tenured. He is phenomenal. I have Mike Chioda in there as well, who I think I study more than anybody. He is really good. Mike Chioda is amazing. Scott Armstrong, someone who's actually helped me in my career. He's been a huge help. Anytime I've wanted to reach out and ask any questions, he's been there for me. So that's been amazing. And then someone that is currently still doing work, he's the head referee at NXT, and he's the head referee at AAA. Adrian Butler, he is phenomenal. I think in 10, 15 years, it's going to be, oh, that's one of the all-time greats. That's one of the best referees. And he was another one, like we were saying, he was a pro wrestler. And then he turned to the referee side once he got into WWE, and it's been full steam ahead. He's just been phenomenal. And then a guy that I wanted to put on there that I couldn't just have on there was Earl Hebner. He's
Baby Earl. I was about to say, the funny part was I was about to say, do you realize how old this little shit makes me feel right now when he's rattling off all these referees? And I'm sitting there going like, all right, okay. I'm like, is any of these referees refereed pre like 2000? Yeah, that was kind of my thing. But so Bryce, got any how you would change a little bit and make a different list? Or
Yeah, I actually do. There were a couple on my list that I totally agreed with, but I'll change. But I'll go with Nick Patrick, just because, I mean, he is, synonymous with a lot of WCW history and things that, went on during those times. Tim White, just because I've seen a lot of like documentaries and things like that, and I just enjoy like more of the outside stories of Tim White and what he's done. And so Charles Robinson is on my list, just because when they came to WWE when they came to Macon for a WWE live event one time, I mean, he stood out there and talked to me for like 2 hours. Like it was just like everybody was asking him for autograph. I don't know why he was talking to me. Like, this was when I was younger too. And like he just talked to me, and then like the next time they came into town, like he remembered me, and he was just like asking how things were going. And it wasn't just like the generic like, okay, does this guy like actually remember me or not? But just, him running down the WrestleMania ramp and things like that. It's just how can you not? And then Scott Armstrong was on my list. That was my hot take, but he took it just because Scott, I've had personal encounters with him producing matches and things like that, and he's just a phenomenal mind in the business. But my crutch, my 5th one, is going to be Teddy Long, just because everybody forgets that he was a referee, and he was a damn good one. And then if you hear like how Teddy got in the business and how he started out as a referee, it's just a very interesting story. It's one of those stories that we're talking about of like, you never know when an opportunity is going to knock. And then, he took it and and now he's a legend.
yeah, he's holla, right? I mean, it's like,
Right.
you went from being a guy who couldn't get into the business to next thing you know, he's a general manager of SmackDown, and he's, made a Hall of Fame
Right.
career out of it. So yeah, absolutely. Me, I'm a little older. I'm not going to put mine together, but I like to throw names like Tommy Young and,
Scrappy.
but I love. Look, by the way, I think because the Hebner the brothers, Dave and Earl, both were really solid refs. But Little Nate, obviously, he's the one that stands out, obviously, and I think, for the longest time, the whole story was you shouldn't know who the referees are. If you know their name, that's a problem. But now I'm like, I disagree.
It's funny you say that, because Scrappy, actually, my early days in Lariato, he helped out a lot at Lariato, and his son refereed for Lariato, and I had no idea who Scrappy was. And then I was listening to Busted Open one day, and Dave LaGreca was like, yeah, they were talking about like Flair and all this. And he's like, yeah, I just want to get referee Scrappy on here one day, yada, yada, yada. And he said Scrappy McGowan. And I was like,
Yeah.
like, wait, what? And I had to like go back and do my research. And I'm just like, holy crap, this dude was right here, like talking to me. And I had no idea that he did all that. But it's because, like you were saying, like referees were just so, just out of sight, out of mind character in the wrestling ring. Like I just had no idea.
Yeah. Even though they're not
They're
storyline,
so
like,
important, but they're nonchalant.
I think, now the Hebners are the exception to the rule. They did the evil twin and all that kind of junk with the Hogan and all that. So they kind of were put in a main story. And now my preference, by the way, I will say Scott Armstrong is Scott Armstrong because we're wrestling fans, right? Like he went on to become the referee that he is, but some of us that are a little bit older remember it obviously before that. So, so that is our Mount Rushmore, as we like to say. Obviously, you could fall on that crutch and get that extra one. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the new segment, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Send your hate mail to them. That's where you can send it. To just crap all over their list if you want to. I think they're good lists, by the way. I'm good, but we always say that's where you send all your mail to. Also, we told you, look, we kind of ranted a little bit earlier about on the Patreon. I'm not going to rattle through all of the benefits again. You know what they are. Sign up. Just get your 8.5 by 11s every single month. You get that $25 membership. By the way, I think there's going to be a coupon potentially for Black Friday for an annual membership. Listen, if you got a wrestling fan who's in your life, look out for the coupon. Buy them the whole annual membership, and every single month they're going to get it's the gift that keeps giving all year long as those 8.5 11s come every single month for 12 months when you do the annual plan. Before we get out of here, I know busy weekend coming up. We talked about it a little bit before we started recording. I'll start with you, Clark, because I'm not sure what your weekend looks like coming up. What do you got in store this weekend as far as shows?
This weekend I've got a light one, but I've got definitely an important one. Headed up to Coastal, which I can't be more excited for. Usually every month, that's the right at the end of the month. That's one of the big highlights.
Bryce, what you got, man? Light weekend for you or heavy?
Yeah, same thing. Coastal, but yeah, like Clark said, it's a big one. I mean, I've got Shug D, Pineapple Pete. Looking forward to that one. It'll be a first time matchup there. And then I know you and Myron will go into a deep dive, but our marquee match for the evening is a Law of the Jungle match. It's something that we've put together. There's going to be 4 extensions on our post, and steel cable will be ran through those, and weapons will hang from that. And the title belt will be hung over one of the turnbuckles there. And so essentially you've got to gain a pinfall or a submission to get to become king of the jungle. Once you're king of the jungle, you and only you can attempt to retrieve the title. If somebody else gains a pinfall or submission during that, you are no longer the king of the jungle and they are. So essentially you've got to get all 3 men down so you can get that title. So I'm really looking forward to that. We've got a lot of great feedback on just the intricacy of that match, and just very intriguing for fans. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, when I read the rules, obviously we're going to be recording, obviously the Tapped Out show, do the Making the Drive segment. I saw the rules. I'm like, all right, make sure you get this right. So read this thing 3 times, so make sure you get this right.
It's one of those things that sounds difficult, but then you read it a couple times and you're like, oh, okay, it's not that bad.
Yeah, literally the second time I read over it, I'm like, okay, this is just, it looks long, but it isn't. It's super complicated.
Exactly.
Look, obviously that's the weekend. We talked about tons of stuff coming up at the weekend, but I think you got a detour on Thanksgiving night, right? Because this show will air obviously before Thanksgiving. So
that is correct. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Like the Thursday show is throwing me off. Yeah, I will be at Southern Fried. Yeah, I apologize. It's not me forgetting the show. It's just with it being on a weekday, it's confusing for me. So yeah, this Thursday, Thanksgiving night, Monroe, Georgia, Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. Not sure who I got. Not sure what's going on, but hopefully the Frat Daddy will end up on top.
Well, it's Ultimate Battleground. There will be a big, long match to try to earn the opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
So you never know. You might end a title shot. So, well, man, hey, I appreciate you guys coming on. Bryce, as usual, you've been here before. Clark, I know it's your first time. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Maybe we'll bring you back. We'll see. We'll take a vote. We'll let the listeners tapped out pod at gmail.com.
This
Real
is going to be
quick,
the worst rated one ever.
real quick before we go out, you were talking about the Black Friday deals for the sponsor. Go pick up a T-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees from your favorite wrestlers. There's Black Friday deals and sales going on right now. Some of your favorite wrestlers are posting the code that you can use for Black Friday. That's a way for guys just to make a little extra money and keep doing what we do so that you guys can be entertained. So go check out Pro Wrestling Tees for your favorite superstars and put in the Black Friday code.
Yeah, because most people aren't aware. We do Pro Wrestling as T. We don't promote it a lot. We're just a podcast, but we tell everybody, hey, it's there. We don't have to carry the inventory. You're not stuck with it, and you can get some things you can actually do. Like, hey, I want it as a tank top. Hey, I want it as a
Right. Yeah.
A lot of guys are like big dudes. It's really hard to like wrestlers carry. It's tough to carry a 4X or a 5X T-shirt, but those guys can go straight to the Pro Wrestling Tee store, pick those up, their size, have it directly shipped to the house. Boom. I'm a huge fan of Pro Wrestling Tees. We've been a member there for years, and I tell all of the wrestlers when they ask me, I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't have one. I'm not telling you not to carry inventory to go to shows, but you got to have that store just for that reason, especially because online you can make it where they can get it in various colors. I mean, you can get super creative on the Pro Wrestling Tee store, and it's nothing to carry. They take a cut, and you're good, and you're just going to make a little money. But yes, absolutely, an absolute good way to help support all of your local wrestlers who are out here every single week making these drives and doing these shows or whatever. Because we always tell you, look, it's absolutely, you can listen to us to support them, but it's a whole lot, more impactful buying those T-shirts, buying the tickets, getting in your car, and maybe we'll see you at the matches.